Hi friends, welcome to my channel. It's Christine here with Creating with Christine. And today we're looking at sketches. I have pulled out my big book of sketches that I ordered and purchased from Scrapbook Generation, and I had it all bound at Staples. This is the sketch that I am interested in working with because the photos just appealed to me in terms of the layout. And so I just decided on the sketch and printed out the photos, and then from there I will create the background. So I'm just going to move the photos out of the way and dig into all of this pattern paper. I've already created a couple layouts with this pattern paper, and so I do have some parts that are cut apart. This is some of my favorite colors, obviously, that I'm working with here in the bright color collection, and this on the bright side. It has, each of them have a cover sheet in the paper packs. And so the cover sheet on the left is the designer paper pack, and the cover sheet that's on the right is the tone-on-tone paper pack. So I can just tell by looking at it when I'm looking for papers that that's what's inside there, and I can make a decision kind of from there. So in grabbing these photos, I'm just trying to determine maybe 2 or 3 different pattern papers that I want to incorporate in here, and definitely add some tone on tone as well. I'm not exactly sure if I want to use the blues or the greens. I'm just kind of flipping through at this point to see if anything is specifically speaking to me. You know, there's that peach kind of color, the orange. I do like the orange. I like the yellow. And I have a little bit of pink in with my bag that I'm carrying in that photo, but I do like the pink and the kind of the dramatic pop of that pink. And so I think I might settle in on that at this point, but just doing a quick flip through to see what's there and if there's a combination that is working for me. I know that I want to find the stripe pattern paper and pull that out because I'm going to use that for my border along the bottom. And I am just going to decide on whether or not I want to add some cardstock with this as a break visually. So this is just kind of me flipping through and trying to see, again, like I said before, in my strange Christine speak of what papers are speaking to me. Okay, so I have picked my pattern paper. I decided on the yellow and the orange, like I had mentioned earlier, and I really liked the blue and the black and white. So that is what I chose. Now I'm going to be making some cuts. The first cut with the yellow is 1.5 inches, and the next 3 cuts are going to be 3 inches. If you're following along and wanting to cut as well. Very simple measurements. So those 3 are going to be the 3-inch measurements, all at the full 12 inches. And then that last sheet of paper in the orange is going to be 1.5 inches. And then the striped rainbow kind of paper, I'm going to cut 2 half-inch strips of that to run the width of both pages. So here you can see that I reminded myself it's easier to cut skinny pieces, especially at 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch, having the body of your pattern paper on the left hand side, just so you've got something to hold on to. And so the trimmer I love. It has got the rotary replaceable cartridge there, so you get the straight blade. It's rotary, so it lasts a very long time. And the nice thing about the Creative Memories trimmers is that you have all of these different blades that you can purchase if you'd like to have some different shapes. And so I'm just going to go ahead here and start adhering all of these pages, or pieces of paper, I should say, in the order, you see. Not much to describe here other than I don't use a lot of adhesive. I have mentioned that before in some of my previous videos. I like to just tack things down. This is really good double-sided adhesive that I'm using here. It's the Scotch brand ATG adhesive, so it is a very nice heavy-duty adhesive, and you don't need to use a whole lot of it. And so I've left a little bit of spacing. It's less than a 1/4 and it is a little bit bigger than, it's just kind of a measurement that I like myself. So if you are someone who has to have a precise measurement, then maybe it's like 3/16 or something like that. But for me, a lot of times it is just what I visually like in terms of the sizing. So it's not usually a 1/4 of an inch. It's usually a little bit shy of that. So I'm just lining up my striped pattern paper strips here. They're the 1/2 inch strips, and I've just got some double-sided adhesive on a roll that I'm going to peel off. It's easier for me to get just a tiny little strip all the way down the length, and then at least you don't have any gapes or areas that kind of sometimes they bulge out a little bit if you don't have adhesive along the skinny strips. I just have my T ruler there just to make sure that I'm at least level, and so I just picked the 3-inch mark on that, and I'm going to get the right strip adhered down and lining up, making sure that I line it up. Sometimes the 3-inch mark on the right-hand side might not be bang on with the left. And so this way, at least I've got the base pages together, and I can just make sure that I am, again, going a nice horizontal, even height of 3 inches. Otherwise, it's going to get looking a little wonky. So at this point, I am laying out my photos. I'm deciding whether or not that one photo there is going to be flush with the inside edge, which I like to do on the left or the right, depending on the layout. And so again, I'm just going to mimic the spacing that is happening between my photos, and also the spacing of the white that is on the pattern paper, little gaps. So just trying to be consistent with the spacing that you have. When you do pick a spacing, the tip that I have is that you just be consistent through your layout in maintaining that spacing. That's just something I prefer to do. So I'm laying out my photos. I'm probably going to end up popping up those 3 photos on the bottom. Not sure about the one up on top with Mom and I, but they're going to get popped up. And I think I might want to matte a couple of these photos. So I just brought the yellow in because I feel like I needed some more yellow on the layout, but I'm not going to matte that picture of myself in the yellow. I'm pulling out the white because that is my go-to. If you follow me at all, you'll see that I do love to have a white border around my photos. And so this is what I've decided to do, is get that white border in behind those photos. So I've got those photos glued down at this point. I have the white matting. You can see how that those 3 photos on the bottom stand out better, obviously, with that little bit of white. I just love the pop of white. And I'm also playing with the clear stickers. I really, really like them. You have the versatility of it really blending in and being a soft sticker, and then you also have the option of putting it down onto the white cardstock or a colored cardstock as your background if you want to, and just kind of treat it like a standard sticker. So here you can see I'm having a little bit of a struggle. I've glued those corners down, but now I want to tuck that clear sticker in behind just to get that colorful watermark splatter effect in behind there. I think I want that to be in behind where my title is. And so I'm just figuring out how to get that under there. Anyway, learning with the clear stickers that if you just kind of smooth them down or burnish them a little bit, you don't see quite as much of the reflection on your page, be it that it's a clear sticker. It does have a bit of a matte finish to it, so that's handy. It's not super glossy. I'm not sure yet whether or not my title is going to be Adventure or Memories, so that is still in the works. And in terms of the right side, I do know that I wanted to bring that tag in. I like the grid for the journaling, and also I like repeating the rainbow on the tag. Now, this little splatter, there's only 2 colored splatters in the sticker sheet, so I knew I wanted to kind of stretch this one out a little bit. I didn't want to cover it up, so I had pre-cut it, and now I just want to determine kind of where I'm going to start that sticker, where that's going to get placed. So I definitely know I want it along the right-hand side, and I'm not 100% sure whether or not that piece that I cut off is going to go above the tag, or if I'm going to actually maybe bring that down to the lower quarter there. I do like to have kind of your visual triangle or your rule of thirds kind of an idea where you split your embellishment clusters into three. That's totally my comfort area. That's how I like to embellish, just by kind of having a visual triangle. But there just wasn't enough of this splatter, and I really want, I think, a little bit more of this splatter up above that tag. And so I'm just at this point committing to above the tag, which is fine. But in a perfect world, we would have had one more little tiny splatter that I could have used on the bottom right corner, but I can't be stressing the little stuff. So here I am going to just temporarily put a little bit of adhesive in behind that tag, and I want to kind of keep the stripe part of the tag in line with the edge of the orange. And I'm going to want to add some foam tape to the back of this photo just so that it's sitting above the tag, and just it's a very thin foam tape, so it's not that much dimension, but it's enough. And I do like my pages not to be super thick, so the thinner dimensional foam is definitely my go-to. Dropping some of that foam onto my photo. And so I'm just going to place this next to the photos up there in the corner, and I'm just thinking about, I'm not exactly sure whether or not I'm going to add more embellishments around that corner, and so I'm just going to take the one corner of adhesive off just to kind of tack it down. It's not going to go anywhere, but at least I'm not going to be stuck if I do want to tuck something in behind there with having to remove it. So that's usually what I start with, is just a little tacking down of things, because I don't necessarily want to commit fully. I know I wanted to put a little something above that one solo picture of me. I'm not really sure how I'm going to get that embellishment cluster going on up there. And I do feel a little bit like I want some sort of word up there. Now I'm not sure if I'll stamp something or what. And I am feeling at this point like I do want to add some of this fun scallop border punch, which is new to the collection. Absolutely love it because it's irregular and it's not a perfect scallop. So, excuse me, sorry, I'm still fighting this cold. I am just showing you there that they fold down. The punches fold down, so they're compact. And then also that if you start with the one edge in line there with the punch, you can continue to basically line it up like that. But then basically what happens is when you do two in a row, if you start the punch at the same point, so in other words, starting your paper on the left-hand side and moving to the right, then when you do your second row, you can line it up really nicely. So I just need to get that last little punch done. And so I'm going to rotate the paper because it has some little notches trimmed out, but you can see that where I left off on the right of that punch, and if I start it up again in line on the left-hand side, it's going to look continuous. There won't be a break in the scallop, which is kind of a cool little detail, especially when you're running the whole width of the paper. So I know that I want this pink, and I've got a yellow pulled aside to also do the scallop border with, and I'm going to do like a two-tier scallop edge and just kind of stagger it so that I've got a little bit of a shadow below it. It's still going to be determining whether or not it's going to be the pink on the bottom or the yellow on the bottom, but I am leaning towards the yellow on the top because I do like the bright cheerfulness of it. So we're gonna get this last little I guess I'm still deciding at this point in the process of doing the border in the yellow. I'm still trying to decide on whether or not this is my choice, because I think orange was also up there, my choice as well. So at least this way, when you start the same way with both of those borders, and if you are punching the same way each time, then you're going to get that nice shadow. You can stagger it a lot or a little in terms of what kind of effect you want to achieve there. And so I just kind of wanted a little punch of pink below, and spreading it between my two pages, I can kind of see Now, if I want the pink on top or the yellow, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with the yellow. So at this point, I'm grabbing my double-sided adhesive again and running a length there, and then I'm going to line up the yellow at whatever my desired overhang is. And so I've just got a little bit of a shadow, you'll see. And then in the end, I'm going to probably clean up the edges because you're punching that along that smooth edge there. Mine wasn't perfect. And also I wanted to just have it be no more than overall an inch. And so that's what I'll do when I get these guys all put together is make sure I've lined up the right scallop border on the left page and the right page so that they meet nicely in the middle. And I'm going to trim it down now because it's just a little bit untidy. And like I said, I wanted to have an overall 1 inch only. And so what I did is I took I think there's 4, there's 4 large scallop parts. So the part that hits that 1 inch mark, and I just kind of lined that up. My hand slipped a little bit there, so I'm just going to tidy up the edge. You know what? I've given up on the perfection aspect of things, and done is, what's the expression? Done is better than, I don't know, there's an expression. You guys can add it in the comments. My congested head is making it a little bit challenging to put all of my thoughts verbally out there so we make sense. So I'm lining up the border. I got the right ends, and I like kind of that little pop of yellow along the bottom. So I'm just going to grab my TG gun because that's quick and easy. I find that if I add the adhesive to the item I'm trying to stick down and then I hold my item, I kind of have control. I can kind of move it up and down and lay it down. So it's just kind of one of those things that I find easier if the adhesive's already on that, or conversely, if you have like ribbon or something like that, sometimes it's easier to put the adhesive actually on the ribbon and then manipulate the ribbon to make sure that it is going down where you want it to go. Sometimes when you put that double-sided adhesive down, you might accidentally tap it down and, it's stuck. No, you're going to have to get your undo out to fix that. So at this point, I'm just kind of putzing a little bit, deciding on what else I'm going to be laying down. I'm going to have to decide on a title, and I'm going to need to get those, all of those photos securely fastened. I just spaced them nicely so that I had some pattern paper on the left and the right of those 2x2 photos. So those are 2x2 photos and 3x3 photos that I trimmed down slightly so that I'm dealing with the true size. Instead of adding 1/4 of an inch onto the photo mats, I'm still dealing with photo mats that are 2 inches, 3 inches, and then trimming my photos down a smidge because we usually have room to trim our photos down. So those guys are stuck down, and I'm still wavering on those titles and embellishment placements. So I know I want to use this camera icon, and I know I'm going to want it on some white cardstock. So I just went ahead and adhered it to the white cardstock, and I'm just fussy cutting that out. And I'm going to float it around the page a little bit and see where I think it needs to land. You can see that there's just some really fun icons in that clear sticker sheet combo. So there's 3 sheets of stickers that are clear. And yeah, I'm just moving it around. I'm not, this is what you do, right? Is you move your bits around. I kind of like it down there. So yeah, I've got the sticker sheets, and I've just kind of, when I'm interested in a sticker, I've been just cutting it out so I can kind of have it off the sheet and float it around the area I'm considering. And so, as you can see, there's quite a selection. There's lots of little subtitles and titles that you could be adding to it. I feel a little bit like I might need a little bit of yellow in that upper right-hand corner, but I'm not really sure yet. I'm looking through the die cuts that are in the embellishment pack that I got, and so I like that little stamp. And I'm remembering that there's these enamel dots and little washi strips here. And I might want to add another little journaling spot. I'm thinking maybe down below. So I'm contemplating some of these stickers. I kind of like the color in this one. Excuse me. I kind of went for it here and I stuck it down, which is kind of funny because it was fine. It just didn't really have that much impact where I put it. And so I wasn't thrilled with it. I stuck it down and then I was like, uh-oh, I stuck it down. So can I get it up? But I was actually able to use my multi-purpose tool and I was able to peel it up, which you'll see at some point later on in the video here. I did lower that adventure title just along the top of that 4x4 photo, and I liked the way it sat on top of the 4x4 photo just to kind of bridge any white area there. So I'm just getting some of the thin foam tape on the back of that. And so I like it how it sits like that. And so I'm oftentimes with me when I discover that there's a placement that's feeling good, I will just essentially commit to it. So I'm looking at any other kind of little embellishments to see what I could add to that. I really am I am interested. Oh boy, this is the entertainment part of the program. I like the paper clips. They are appealing to me. I don't know what word I'm trying to use, but you can laugh at me as you're viewing this. I really like the paper clips. Those are fun. And I have done some layouts in the past where I've put actual paper clips in there. So it's actually a very fun way to add some embellishing. And so I know I like the paper clip. I like that little stamp, and I'm sticking down at the adventure. And then we're basically going to move around and see what else I can make a decision on at this point, which has been challenging today. Okay, so this is done for me. I have got the title done as I liked with a little bit of that washi tape. I cut in half to stretch it on the left and the right of the title. And I've added a few dots here and there. I decided against this little floral sprig and instead brought in the leaves. Even after putting it on the white cardstock, it wasn't working for me. So that did work for me. Basically, I added a few of those dots. Like I said, I got that tag in there. I have to do some journaling, but I wanted to be able to maintain that visual triangle, that kind of 3 clusters going across my layout. And I really like the grouping of all the photos together. Carries your eye from left to right across the layout. And I'm okay with white space. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will catch you next time. Click the subscribe button to join me on any future recordings. And thanks again for taking the time to visit. Take care.